This is the Sony CRE C10. It takes batteries. It's similar to the Sony CRE-C20, which is rechargeable. This is the Zepp Clarity Pixie. This is the Ceretone Core 1 Plus. This is the Eargo 8, and this is going to be the standard reference, which is my prescription hearing aid, the Lumity L90 Life. Okay, this is the setup. High-tech facilities in my bedroom. This is the mannequin Cliff. He's the real ear measurement testing subject. Cliff is obsessed with real ear measurements and best audiology practices. So he will be bravely wearing the real ear measurement probes and microphones on his ears. These little tubes, I will actually be putting a paper clip on them, inserting them, and making sure they just stick 3 millimeters away from the eardrum. Can't do that in human subjects because it would hurt. Now, I do real ear measurements on myself, but without a paper clip attached to them. Basically, I insert the tube in till I feel it hit my eardrum, then back off a couple millimeters. But that's pretty hard to do, especially with repeated testing. So this mannequin is from Amazon, and it's a styrofoam head for about 20 bucks. And these silicone ears, which are used to train audiologists and audiology students, I should say, and hearing aid technician students, how to mold ears. The behind you see is a real ear measurement software from Avant REM. And the machine is MedRx Plus. Now, I got the machine on eBay. It's from about 2007. It was $2,400 when I paid for it. And that's because I don't want to pay $10,000 plus for a modern device from an audiology supply company, or even $10,000 for a used one. The software, I had to go to Avant REM's, or I think it was MedRx website, and go into their archives and download some old vintage software. The computer I had to get was from 2007 as well, because it would not run on Windows 11. However, it does have voice, kind of international voice settings for the real ear measurement. So I assume it would give me the same good measurements as a fancy machine at an audiology office. The only difference being I'm not an audiologist and I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, already a modification, I did not use the paper clips because they just took up too much volume. I thought they would affect the measurements. So I just did it like you would do a real ear measurement fitting on a human. I inserted this little marker here, 30 millimeters, and from the end of the tube, and then inserted it into the ear, which should leave it about 3 millimeters away from the fake tympanic membrane. And I verified it with the a video endoscope that I also got on Amazon for like 30 bucks a few years back. And I'll show you a picture of that in a second here. And the volume of the ear, I put 2 milliliters of water in it, and it is 2 milliliters, just about like a human ear.
Alors, بی‌تدبدستی خوش‌خویرش. And so the good gave Hausa the Holish Rufi is that of Lukarat min Pelash Gotios wrapped it is Alvehze. Shut and Mohring sollte, can it than the other. 拼命的 box بردن على hearing or la obliged they're not.
Okay, so on this, the right are the right ears on your left side of your screen, and the left ear is on the right side of the screen. I think this is so if a patient's sitting in front of you, you have a right and left. Looking very handsome in his Phonak Lumity Life L or 90 level hearing aids. These are mine that I wear to work and when I really need to hear. They are tuned pretty much exactly to my audiogram on my real ear measurements. So we're doing Lumity Life.
Alors, die adaptatie hochschulerisch. And so the Eargo when gave Hause بخودش شروفی is that أفلوطارات من كلا شقاتي وشنرابتي زالوحزة. شك عن محوين قلت كانت than the other. Pinning the box بردن على hearing or la obliged they're not.
So this is tuned to my own audiogram. So I'm going to use these as the gold standard. This is the Sony CRE C10 in the Cliff's ear. I did have to cut the tragus off the ear, which is the little cartilage part that would be right here, because it was occluding the canal too much and affecting the REM measurements. Without the tragus, I get approximately the same REM measurements that I get in my own ear. So this Sony hearing aid is pretty much invisible. The black bends in with the shadow of the ear. The tragus would hide it from the front view and actually create more of a shadow. So it's showing up a little bit more than it would on your ear. So we've got the Sony CRE C10s. Cliff looks very handsome in those. All right, so let's see how the Sonys do on the real ear measurement, because that's what Cliff cares about, the real ear measurement. My hearing loss is too high for over-the-counter hearing aids, obviously, in this range and the high frequencies, so it shouldn't any come near that. But subjectively, they seem to help. So let's see if I'm just imagining it or how they do.
Alors, die adaptatie hochschulerisch. And so the Eargo when gave Hause بخودش شروفی is that أفلوطارات من كلا شقاتي وشنرابتي زالوحزة. شك عن محوين قلت كانت than the other. Pinning the box بردن على hearing or la obliged they're not.
Oh, wow. So the Sony's in the blue, the Lumity Gold Standard, or the Phonak Lumity Gold Standard is the green. Man, on the right side, it's pretty close. A little under amplification in the very low frequencies and in the speech range. 2,000 to 5,000 K, but in that right ear, but darn close. And really, like, I can't tell the difference if I'm watching television or talking to somebody. On the left side, it's under amplified by quite a ways more than the right side. That may be an issue with the hearing test that I took. Maybe I don't know, I did too well on the Sony hearing test. I'm not sure on the left ear, but I'll retake it. But obviously they're capable of almost meeting my prescriptive target for my severe hearing loss, especially in the right ear. This could be an instrument issue or just a hearing test issue. So I'll redo that. Okay, Cliff's got the Ceretones in. These are the Ceretone Core 1 Plus, I think they're called. They are only come in nursing home beige. Hearing aid people, stop making your colors in nursing home beige. Nobody wants that. Looks like he has a wart in his ear. That said, it would be less conspicuous because a real ear would have a tragus, little cartilage piece up front that would hide it. So let's see how the Ceretone Core Plus 1 fares against the Pro hearing aid and the OTC Sony hearing aid.
Alors, die adaptasti hushlerosh. And so the Eargo when gave pauze بخودش روفي ازداد أفلوط طاعت من قلة شقاتي وشنرابتتي زالوحتة. شاك عن محرين خدالته كانت than the other. Pimming the box, but running على خيرين water. La bis obliged and not.
Okay. So I should explain on the Ceretone, it's not customizable as far as your audiogram. It amplifies everything basically, but I do think it's tuned to high frequency hearing because I can hear it better. Now, I do have the volume adjusted. On the right, I have it adjusted to 4 out of 6, and this is the light green line, so it's a little bit less than the Sony. I could increase it to 6, but I get too much feedback when I do that. So that's about as loud as I can do with the Ceretone. So it falls off at the higher frequencies faster than the Sony or the Phonak Lumity. And on the left, I think I had it adjusted to, I had a lower amplification. It's really not doing much of anything there, is it? All right, so last in our real ear measurement adventure, we have the Eargo 8s. Let's see how they fare against our competitors.
Alors, die adaptasti hushlerosh. And so the Eargo when gave pauze بخودش روفي ازداد أفلوط طاعت من قلة شقاتي وشنرابتتي زالوحتة. شاك عن محرين خدالته كانت than the other. Pimming the box, but running على خيرين water. La bis obliged and not.
All right, so I think the Eargos are in the lighter blue here. A bit less amplification than the Sony. About the same as the Ceretone on the right. Okay, I had forgotten to do the Zepp Clarity Pixie. So we're going to do that now. I'm just doing the right ear because I am really sick of doing this. So we'll line him up at speaker level. Line clip the mannequin up. And then we'll press start and see how we fare.
Alors, die adaptasti hushlerosh. And so the Eargo when gave pauze بخودش روفي ازداد أفلوط طاعت من قلة شقاتي وشنرابتتي زالوحتة. شاك عن محرين خدالته كانت than the other. Pimming the box, but running على خيرين water. La bis obliged and not.
So this is the dark purple line. It goes above the Phonak Lumity, which is kind of amazing. I do have to qualify that, and I will talk about the Zepp Pixie a little bit later. It is a closed dome, and I could not get it to work without the closed dome, so it's the only one that has a closed dome fitting. Okay, I've adjusted the Sony CRE C10 to maximum setting and highest pitch, which are the two things I can control without going through a complete fine-tuning of the sound balance. Let's see what it does. Remember the old Sony line is this green line here, which was, I'm sorry, this purple line here, which was below the green Lumity line.
شقاتي وشنرابتتي زالوحتة. شاك عن محرين خدالته كانت than the other. Pimming the box, بورفون على خيرين وقر لابيس بلاج the not.
So I think that's the light green line. It went above the prescription target earlier on, like at 2K, but then dipped back down at 3 to 4K. So it wasn't very useful as far as getting us a meaningful result. All right, I tried to increase the volume of the Eargo 8 to the maximum settings, and let's see what that does as far as trying to get closer to the prescription target.
Alors, die hadden das die hochschleiders. En zo werd er een pauze begonnen te doen. Is dat afloop dat min per les ook就是 rapid die zal weg te. شك عن محرين خدالته كانت لنيذر. في من der box. بورفون على خيرين وقر لابيس بلاج the not.
So I'll analyze this later. There's too many lines. I'm confused. I got to remember what I did. But it seemed to do better that time. So in summary, we have the unaided, just natural magnification of the ear structure. And this is similar to a human ear, but this is the mannequin ear. The gold standard is the green line here, which is the phonic lumity. I've had these for a couple years, love them. I got them on eBay for like $2,000. Originally I had a pair from an audiologist, but they were really expensive. And the ones I got on eBay and programmed myself, actually I could hear better. I could hear better in noise. And also my hearing fluctuates month to month, sometimes week to week due to an autoimmune issue. And I like to be able to program them myself instantly. And I've loved them. They're life-changing. The second place here was the adjusted Eargo 8s on the standard fitting. They were under-amplifying by quite a bit, but when I turned them to maximum settings, they're over-amplifying. And if I had them on medium, they would probably be just right as far as the real ear goes. And usually I do have them on a medium setting, so I must have intuitively known that. The Eargo 8s have the best noise cancellation out of all the over-the-counter aids by quite a bit. Speech and noise, the Phonax, basically what I did was I put a restaurant noise loud on a surround sound in my living room and sat in the middle and then played speech that was just barely audible to me. And for the Phonax, I could hear about 90% of the words correctly. If I put a Roger on it, it was 100%. With the Eargos, 85%. Second place for me, but not on this test, was the Sony CRE C10s. On this test, they're a little bit below they're a little bit below the Eargos and the Zepp clarities. It's this line, or this green line right here. The curve's not quite right, but they really helped me. I think they have the best overall sound. They don't have the best noise cancellation. The Eargos do. They're fairly reasonable in price now. They're usually about $500. The 20s, which is the rechargeable models, are $1,000. They may have a little bit newer technology because they're based on Signia Silks, and the Silk rechargeables are a newer technology. Anyway, for the CRE, Sony CRE, I get about 85% word recognition, just like the Eargo 8s, just slightly below the phonic lumities. And the next place is the Zepp Clarity Pixie, which is this purple line. Now, it had the most magnification out of everything. My cat is playing with my stick as I'm doing this, so it's kind of silly. But they're pretty. They look just like the Eargo 8s, except they are silver. The caveat I have with these is I could only get them to work in a closed setting, even at a low volume, they hummed and squealed and everything with an open setting. There they go. They're squealing because they fell out of their case. That's not their fault. They're in an enclosed case and I'm making them squeal. And my cat is messing with stuff. So anyway, they got about an 80% word recognition. The tips aren't the most comfortable. I'm trying to find some other tips that would work with them. They're about $1,000, so they are less than half the price of the Eargo 8s. Last place is the Ceretones. They're the cheapest. They're about $300, maybe $350. They only come in geriatric beige. I put Signia silk tips on them because I didn't like the tips that they came with. They squealed and had a lot of feedback that I couldn't control. They are not tunable to an audiogram. They do seem to be tuned to high frequency hearing loss, but I don't get the same amplification. This is level 4 out of 6. I could probably turn it to 6 out of 6 and push it up further to the prescription level, but they would squeal too much. So anyway, they do help. So in a pinch, if that's your budget, they would probably work. I did not test any of the $100 like Walmart amplifiers. I imagine these are better than any of those. So in summary, I think over-the-counter hearing aids are really a godsend for people that can't afford prescription hearing aids. The other option is to buy prescription hearing aids on eBay for $500 or whatever, and program them yourself. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess things up. And my ear roll measurements on this test, I only did the 65 dB just to show you the averages. On myself, I actually do the 50, 65, 80, and do compression and all that stuff, just like an audiologist would do. The difference between me and an audiologist is I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun, and it seems to help my ears. Anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you have a good day.